Greetings, salutations, and welcome to Sportslook, the sports television program for the high plains of West Texas and eastern New Mexico. I'm your host, Doc Elder, and while Mother Nature keeps trying to remind us that it's still wintertime, we're going to ignore that fact, and we're going to bring in two spring sport coaches. We've got Riley Price, the head coach of Greyhound Baseball, and Amanda Fiefel, the head coach of Greyhound Softball. I will mention wintertime in my overtime, but as always, we'll start out with an Eastern recap. Similar experiences for the Greyhound men's basketball team and Greyhound women's basketball team last Saturday in Canyon, Texas. The Greyhound ladies lost by 24 and the Greyhound guys lost by 20. Both teams will end up next week with an away game at Lubbock Christian and a home game against Western New Mexico. Greyhound track and field had a meet last weekend at Texas Tech. Best finish by the ladies was Amanati Kinyawani. She finished second in the 5,000-meter run. And for the Greyhound guys, the best finish was Kelvin Kipkemboy. He finished second in the 5,000-meter run. Well, that has been your Eastern recap, so we'll clear the set and we'll bring in Riley Price, the head coach of Greyhound Baseball, right now. Welcome back to Sportslook, and a privilege to bring back to the set of Sportslook the head coach of Greyhound Baseball, Coach Riley Price. And Coach, welcome back to Sportslook.
Thanks for having me, Doc.
Coach, it's astounding. This is your third season as the head coach of the Greyhounds, but it's going to be the first season that, knock on wood, you're actually going to get a whole season.
Yeah, knock on wood. Yeah, no, we're thankful, and it's so nice to play at home again. Guys are making comments after this weekend. Oh, thank goodness we don't have a 10-hour drive back. So no, we love it. We had a good showing in our first home series this past weekend, and I got a little cold there on Saturday night for sure, but it was fun to be at home again.
Of course, for people that may not remember, your first year, you guys were really making progress. You had had a good weekend series, and then all of a sudden, as happened all across the nation, sports were shut down. And then last year, you got a chance to play, but the proviso was that you had to play your games on the road. You got one Tuesday, I believe, where you got to play against Wayland Baptist, but
Yeah.
you got twice as many home games in one weekend than you had all the last year.
Yeah, no, it was a challenging year last year, mentally, physically on the guys. We lost a few guys prior to the season that I think would have been big contributors, but the tough ones stayed, and we didn't find out until about 10 days prior to that year last year that we were having a season, and then with the governor's rules and whatnot, so. We found out it was all on the road. We were just thankful we were having a season because a lot of the schools around the country had just shut down completely. So,
Yeah, I figured if the Harlem Globetrotters can play every day as a road game, the Greyhound baseball team could too as well. Uh, Obviously, going into every year, there are things that you think you know about your squad, and then when you actually start playing games, it's like some of those things. Yeah, we knew that all along. Some things like, didn't really see that coming. What's the one thing that you expected going into this year that has proven to be the case over your first 8 games?
well, I guess it's not a positive thing necessarily, but the inconsistency, and you're always going to have that when you bring in so many new players and so many young players that are impactful for us this year. So it's kind of figuring out who you have, where they're best fit, and you look at the lineup every time. They showed some things this fall, but guys made some big jumps, and we brought in 6 new guys at semester. So, seeing where they fit into play, and if you look at our lineups, they've been different every time, and just trying to see where guys fit the best and finding that consistency. And once we figure out what clicks, I think we're gonna have a lot of success moving forward.
Well, let's flip the coin and let's ask it the other way. What was the one thing that you thought, either positive or negative, like we're going to be really good at this and it hasn't been the case, or you thought maybe this is going to be a problem and you've been better than expected?
Throwing strikes. I think that's the biggest thing. I told our guys after this last weekend, I said the jitters, the beginning of the season jitters are done. You got no more excuses. We got to put the ball over the plate, and we just got to attack hitters. And again, I think it's a lot of our young guys coming in, not getting the feel of college and working those jitters out, but I think our upperclassmen need to step up a little bit to be more consistent, and they've shown that they're tough to hit when they do throw strikes, and We got some competitors on the mound. I'm excited for them to move forward with that. But defensively, I thought we were more consistent in the fall. I thought we were going to, continue to be better. So far, it's not been good, and I know it's I think just as much mental as it is physical. So we've been working hard at that at practice, and hopefully that continues to get better.
Yeah, I didn't have the opportunity to watch 3 of your 4 games this past weekend, but I got a chance to watch the game on Sunday. And in the early going, there were some runs that may not have been unearned runs, but they were set up by errors in the field, and they look like plays that your guys would normally be expected to make.
Exactly. And that's why I think it's mental. We're thinking, trying too hard or thinking too much instead of just going out there and playing the way we should play. And that's why we practice at a high level and prepare at a high level and very game like, to put them in that scenario. So hopefully that cleans up. And if it does, and we give ourselves a chance to move our offense around and manufacture some runs and being able to look at swiping some bags, because that's when we're best. If we keep that game closer or we get a lead, then we really take off. But if we get that gap because of a few errors and walks and hit by pitch, and that lead shrinks and they take the lead, it's a lot tougher to get yourself back into the game that way, especially with our style of baseball.
Coach, I've kind of forgotten my manners. You're not a one-person show when it comes to running the Greyhound Ball Club, and I understand a new assistant coach in the ranks.
Yeah, yeah. Ryan Benitez came from Coastal Bend College, where he was the pitching coach there, and his team went to the World Series last year. So it was definitely different to have a new guy come in, and I like his philosophies. He's more the old school type, and kind of offsets me in that way. And he's a good motivator. He's done well with our pitchers, and he's got a lot of good young guys to develop here, and so definitely make his job fun and stuff. So yeah, no, it's been good.
Well, Coach, speaking of the weekend, you had 4 games against our bitter arch rivals, West Texas A&M. We had a crew out on Sunday to film your game. We've got some highlights, so let's cue up the highlight reel and please walk us through it.
There's Noah Del Riva on the mound. Like I said, when he's around the zone, he can be tough to hit. True freshman from El Paso, came in, made a lot of really good adjustments, and he's not scared. He's not, and that's what we like about him. He's got a competitive nature on the mound. There's Cam. Cam is extremely consistent. I mean, it's near impossible to take him out of center field, and I really do. I think defensively, he's one of the best outfielders in the conference, if not in the country. He tracks a lot of stuff down. There's Sammy Williams staying back on an off-speed pitch going up the middle. When we get back, we got back right back to our approach there, and thinking middle of the way, and letting that off-speed travel a little bit and protecting with 2 strikes, we can put up some runs. Cooper Hamilton on the mound.
The two
He,
sport athlete.
yeah, 2 sport athlete and a great catch by Cam right there, taking charge. S-
Greyhounds mounting a comeback here.
Yeah. There's Brayton Matthews. It's tough to tell them apart unless you see their number. I still have trouble with it. Brayton and Camden. There's Spencer Roach, new guy, freshman. So a lot of young guys as position players this year for sure. Cooper Hamilton right there, staying inside, good extension. And I took a risk right there, sending him from third. It was pretty shallow, and I think I faked him out on. Didn't think that I was going to send him, but did.
That's why you make the big dollars.
That's right. That's right.
And a good comeback. You guys were down 9 runs and came back and made it a 2-run game.
Yeah, yeah. No, played a good team, really tight 2 games. The second one on Saturday, losing a 1-run ball game when we were one hit from tying it or winning it, was huge. It was good to see that. This past weekend was a good test. WT is a very good offensive team, and they made us pay for about every mistake that we made. And again, they're top 10 in the country and going to be one of the leaders in the conference. So it was good to show that we can compete when we put all facets together, and just hope we find some more consistency moving forward.
Coach, we had to wait a whole year to get our first home games, and then lo and behold, we get another set of home games this weekend. But instead of being the Friday, Saturday, Sunday format of Lone Star Conference, because it's non-conference, we're playing Adams State on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, yeah, no, normally, we play 48 conference games, and we're only, there. That's probably the easiest part about my job is scheduling, because I only have to schedule 2 games really. No, got in touch with Adams State, and they'll be a good matchup this weekend, and excited to play them. So we play Saturday at 2 o'clock, and Sunday at 1 o'clock.
And obviously, that's a chance for you to experiment on certain things. Who has really impressed you in the first 8 games that might get a little more playing time this weekend because of it?
There's a few guys. I'm definitely, hopefully there's an opportunity to get some more guys, some at bats that hadn't seen them yet. But I like where we're at offensively right now and the adjustments that we're making. Nick Schiffner's an upperclassman that snuck in the lineup, and has really worked on some things, and he's got some power, and waiting for him to kind of go off. But Sammy Williamson's been, other than this weekend, played a really good third base for us. He's been hitting the ball, and Dax, Edmonds, true freshman again, with more consistency and a better approach at the plate, he's going to be a good one for us. And I don't think anything too surprising really. I know what these guys are capable of, and so just finding the times where we can get those guys in that maybe haven't seen as many bats will be a good opportunity.
Well, Coach, congratulations on, here again, knock on wood, getting a full season in, and we'll see you this weekend.
Thanks, Doc.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up our first interview segment. So what we'll do is we'll clear this out, and we'll bring in the head coach of Greyhound softball, Amanda Fiefel, right now. Welcome back to Sportslook, and we welcome back to this set of Sportslook the head coach of Greyhound softball, Amanda Fiefel. And Coach, welcome back to Sportslook.
Thanks, Doc. Thanks for having me.
It doesn't seem like that long ago that we were introducing you as the new head coach, and now not only are you in season, but you've actually played 9 games already.
Yeah, it's going by fast so far. 2 weekends, 10 games in the book pretty much, and we're ready to go back this weekend to Arizona and play 5 more.
Well, Coach, last fall when we introduced you, I asked you what you thought, what you hoped for the spring. And sometimes what you think is going to happen actually does happen. Sometimes it's like, nah, we're better than I thought we were going to be in an aspect. Sometimes you're not quite as good as you thought. So, what did you think you knew going into the season that has proven to be true?
Yeah, so as far as that goes, I told you before, our team was full of grit, heart, passion. I think that was the biggest thing for me coming into the program, was really trying to find who we had, what we had across the board in the circle, defensively, offensively, and now really seeing all of their hard work come full circle. Very proud of them. I think, over the past 2 weekends, we've really had some hard competition in a lot of the RMAC schools, really testing us early. I think the biggest thing for me, I wanted them to be battle tested against regional opponents, and we have. I know this weekend will be a huge feat for us as well. But for me, I think the biggest thing is really still finding out our depth across the board in the circle again. Right now we have some key people stepping up in our lineup, but I want to see more people play a role off the bench for us going into conference.
And obviously, let's flip the coin and say, what did you think you knew that, like I said, either you're overachieving or that hasn't quite met up to your expectations?
Yeah, so I definitely knew Brooke Ledger was going to be the ace arm out on our staff. Everyone else is very young. We have 2 true freshmen in Lisette Urique and then Taylor Harrison. And so both of them are getting some time in the circle right now. Maite Bustillos will see some time here and there. I know she threw primarily a lot for the team last year, but she hasn't really seen any action in the circle. We're using her primarily in the outfield. And then obviously Jordan Bowman, she's seen a couple actions here and there, but not as much as probably she would hope for. But I think I've relied a lot on Brooke so far to really lead charge in the circle for us. On the defensive side, I know Joe at shortstop was definitely going to be a big area for us there at the shortstop position. Alana Larkins, we moved her from shortstop to second base just because of range purposes. And so I really think switching up the dynamic of our infield and really moving our new pieces around to see what we have has really benefited us. But definitely on the offensive side, I didn't think we would have as much power, but throughout the lineup right now, and I don't necessarily think it's power, it's definitely timely hitting. I think in the fall during our scrimmages, we really didn't have that consistency. Right now we do. We're really putting things together, having people move runners in different ways, and I think that's really helping us.
Yeah, looking at the scores of the 9 games you've played, you've only been shut out once so far this year.
Yeah. Again, I think it's really us timely hitting, getting runners on, finding a way to get it done, whether it's playing small ball, base hit, then shooting a couple gaps, I think has really been huge for us. Have a couple stolen bases, a couple people really contributing to the speed on the bases has really, allowed us to move runners and really go not necessarily base to base, but taking extra bases along the way.
Coach, since we have a few minutes, I'm going to ask you a philosophical question, and I'll apologize to some viewers that this may go right over their heads.
Okay.
But there are two basic approaches to hitting when you get 2 strikes. Back in the day, there was a strategy called choke and poke, where
Okay.
you choke up and just try and poke the ball in
Yeah.
play. And the other one is take 3 swings and make the third one as hard as the first one. If
Yeah.
you had to fall into one camp or the other, which approach to hitting is more your style?
For me, I want them to be aggressive no matter what. I think choke and poke is technically, yes, one of the mindsets too. If we definitely need to execute, runner on third base, just get the ball in play, absolutely, choke and poke, let's execute that way. But if we have runners in scoring position, second base, and I need you to split a gap, I want you swinging with a purpose. And I think that's really our girls' mindset at the plate right now. They all have a great approach. They're looking for their zone, what pitch that they want to drive. And I think that's just been key throughout this whole preseason so far.
And of course, looking at your stats from when you were a player, I don't imagine you had to really worry about that because you're probably the first good pitch you got. You were driving it someplace.
I did. I looked early in the count. I didn't want to get myself into a hole, so I definitely was looking first 2, 3 pitches to really drive something.
Well, Coach, are you a one-person operation or do you have an assistant?
I do. So Shanna Smith is my assistant. She came with me from Clarendon College as well as App State, and so we've been together for a couple years now. We definitely are that piggyback off of each other. I love her energy. I love, obviously, the ideas that she presents, both defensively and offensively. I do look to her a lot of times as far as the lineup goes, like, hey, where should we move people? Who's hitting in this hole? I really love the feedback that I get from her. She definitely controls our defensive shifts and things like that when I'm controlling the pitch calling and our pitchers and catchers. So, again, I rely a lot on her, and I think, obviously, her knowledge of the game is very important for our players as well.
And speaking of defense, defense is going to be, I would imagine, a little bit easier to play in Portales, New Mexico than it was in years past because you're getting a new field.
Absolutely,
Not the
yeah.
whole field, but the infield.
Yeah, no, actually, last week was our first time on the field prior to going to LCU. And so there hasn't been a grand opening of the field per se, but yes, we have been on it. It is beautiful. Obviously, Paul Weir and everybody in the athletic department, President Caldwell, we truly thank them for making this happen. I think, winds like today, when they're blowing 20 plus miles an hour, it's very hard to play softball. But with the turf, we were able to get out there, no wind issues with the dust or the dirt blowing everywhere, but it's beautiful. The girls love it. Obviously, you'll see it here, and it's just a great facelift to our program across the board. It makes the whole dynamic of our field look so much better.
And when is the first time that we're going to get to see the field and players on it?
The 25th, February 25th, we host LCU here for a doubleheader. It's not technically conference play. It's just a doubleheader that we're having with them. So come on out, come see us. February 25th, we'll be here for a doubleheader.
And this weekend, you'll be playing in another tournament
Mhm.
environment, and this time heading the opposite direction. You're going out to Arizona.
Yes, gonna be hot. It's supposed to be very hot, so very different than what we've been playing in. The first weekend out, we were playing in snow in Albuquerque. This past weekend was very windy again in LCU, and now this weekend, obviously, all the terrains we're kind of dealing with now with the heat. And so I think it will be good though for the girls to get out in this element, be loose, have it, fun as far as that goes. But yeah, 5 more games, like I said, a lot of regional and upper ranking teams will be at this tournament. Colorado Mesa will probably be our biggest feat. We play them the very last game of the tournament, so we're hoping to go up and be competitive against them.
Well, Coach, you and I were talking before we went on air about the fact that as a head coach, you
Mhm.
have to have short-term memory. You can't dwell too much on
Yeah.
previous mistakes. You can't gloat and rest on your laurels with victories. But looking back at the 9 games that you have played, what's been the most satisfying game? I would imagine probably
Mhm.
one of your wins, but it could have been one of your losses where you played a really good team and you played them close. So looking back as much as you can,
Mhm.
what game has been the most satisfying so far?
I would probably say our very last one, University of Colorado, Colorado Springs, was our very last game that we just won. Um, we were losing the entire game. The girls never lost focus. I think that grit and persistency is what I was looking for. Our dugout did not die down. We had high energy. The bench was able to pick some signs. We were able to really execute across the board. And then in the sixth inning, we kind of imploded and really got 8 runs in that inning. The girls' literally mindset was pass the bat. And so I think for me as a coach, you want to see those close ball games and you want to see us win those close ball games, but to come from behind and keep that focus throughout all 7 innings, I was proud of them. They could have gave up. We could have gave up being down 3-0 going into the sixth inning, but they never did. And so for me as a coach, I want to see that because when, you know, we're in the middle of conference and we need to come from behind to determine one way or the other, I want to know that they've been tested and that we can prevail.
Coach, there are two types of leaders. There are leaders who lead by example, and there are leaders who are vocal. Who is your most vocal team leader? Who's your kind of quiet person that leads by example?
Okay, so I would definitely say there's two with the lead by example. So Joe, our shortstop, absolutely, she is one of those lead by example. She'll pull someone to the side if things aren't going their way and kind of talk them through it. She's not going to be an in your face type of vocal leader. She's going to be the one that kind of guides you. And then Brooke. Brooke, obviously, in the circle, she is our hardest worker in the weight room, conditioning, on the field, in the bullpens. And so she is your typical lead by example type of kid. Our loudest leader, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think we have anyone that is over the top. I think this year more than last year, we've really had people play key roles in different things. And so for us, that was our culture change, was getting our players to buy into what we really wanted to do this year. We've had a lot of heart-to-hearts as far as what do they want ENMU softball to be about. And I think across the board, we're seeing people step up in different ways. So, you have your quiet leaders, but you also have people that play key roles on the bench and on the field.
Well, Coach, when we do get our first home games next weekend and people come on and watch you,
Mhm.
what's the one takeaway that you hope people leave your stadium thinking about your team?
Again, goes back to that passion and that grit, that never die type mindset. I think they're going to play hard from out 1 to out 21, and I really hope that's what you see. I think for us from last year, you as being an onlooker from years prior, hopefully just a different energy about the team, whether it's how they're coached, whether they play, whatever it may be, just a different feel to ENMU softball.
And we will point out that while there are some things that are different from
Mhm.
last year, new head coach,
Mhm.
new field, one thing has stayed the same. It's free.
Yes, it is. It is. So come out. I obviously I want all the little league softball players around here too that have a passion for it, that want to play, to absolutely come out. See from obviously our college girls the level of play and come out and see it.
Well, we've had a tradition of having some good players from around this area that have played for Eastern and
Mhm.
love to see even more. So get them started early.
Absolutely.
Well, Coach, thanks so much for being our guest. Best of luck the rest of the season.
Thanks, Doc.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up the interview segment of Sportslook. So what we'll do is we'll clear this out, and I'll finish up with an overtime right now. Over the past week, I have added a new individual to my pantheon of sports heroes. It's a woman by the name of Lindsay Jacobellis. If you are a fan of the X Games, you are familiar with her because she's a 10-time world champ in snowboarding. That success is not translated very well to the Olympics over her lifetime, however. She did, at the age of 20, win a silver, but at the age of 24, she got shut out. At the age of 28, she got shut out. At the age of 32, she got shut out. And this year, most people thought she would get shut out once again. But Lindsay fooled us all. She won a gold medal in snowboarding, and that was the first gold medal that the United States won in the 2022 Olympics. So, Lindsay, you're my girl. Well, that'll wrap up in overtime, and that will wrap up an episode of Sports Look. I'd like to thank my guests, Riley Price from Greyhound Baseball and Amanda Fiefel from Greyhound Softball. Mr. Aiden, once again, my floor director. So for those aforementioned people, this is Doc Elder saying, so long.